Welcome, everyone, to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, the twice-a-week sports podcast where, again, we just talk sports and shoot the shit. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is the Grumpy Old Man. They say there is no shame in his game because he is always the same.
That's me.
Grump, how are you this fine evening?
I tell you what, I'm feeling okay. Really exciting 4 o'clock window of football games today.
You want to talk about a perfect wet dream for the NFL? Both of those games go to overtime. And the Cincinnati Bengals put up a field goal, and it gets answered back in response with a Brandon Ayuk touchdown for the 49ers. And Tampa Bay, right? They're up 24-3 at halftime, I believe it was, and Buffalo storms all the way back to tie the game. They get the ball to start overtime and are unable to capitalize. But 2 4 o'clock overtime games at that slot, Grump.
Yeah, this is what the NFL wants. They want every game to go down to the wire. Overtime is great. Everyone's hero, Tom Brady, throwing his 700th career touchdown pass with regular and postseason for the winning score to the never-used Rashard Perriman, who was a streety as of 2 weeks ago and on the taxi squad for a 56-yard touchdown pass. And I'm going to say it again, though. Tampa Bay is not good enough. Tampa Bay is not good enough to win a Super Bowl with that idiotic coaching staff. That's all I'm going to say.
You talk about Tampa so in depthly, Grump. It's like you think this is a Tampa podcast.
It's the Tom Brady.
The Tom Brady fanboy podcast. What are you, Tom Brady fanboy?
Yeah, without a doubt.
It's almighty. Yeah. Honestly, though, it was I was not expecting the either of those games really to be as interesting as they were. I thought both the 49ers and the Buccaneers were going to walk away with the win in the second half. Things got close, though, Grump. But before we get – go ahead.
Well, I just want to talk about Cincinnati. In the first half, they were pretty much controlling the play. They fumble a punt. They muff a punt. San Francisco picks it up. They go in, they score a touchdown. Then they have a taunting penalty, which leads to another touchdown, and that's why they're trailing in half. And then you think, okay, they come back and they score at the last minute and a half to tie the game up. They get the ball, they go down the field, they get the field goal, and then somehow they bangle the whole thing. And they wound up losing to the 49ers.
Well, there's a reason. Trust me, man. There's a reason why the Bengals are the way the Bengals are. They've always just have struggled mightily. It's a game really that they would want back. you start off with the ball in overtime, right? They tied the game up too on that touchdown pass. I believe it was to Jamar Chase, and unable to capitalize and come away with the victory.
Well, the good thing for Bengal fans, though, is that they have the quarterback and they have some really stud wide receivers in Higgins and Chase. And Joe Mixon's a really good running back. Their offensive line, while not perfect, is better than last year. Their defense is coming along. If you're a Bengals fan, you have to be happy with development from last year to this year.
I don't disagree. I think there are other items that Joe Burrow needs to step up with, the grumpy old man. That being said, before we get too hot and heavy into today's podcast, we go live every single Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every single Sunday around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And to make sure you don't miss out on any of the action, subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, and follow on Twitter, Grumpy Old Man.
Yes. I don't know anything about that, but yes, that's what you need to do. Whatever TJ says to do, just do it.
John M. saying, good evening, boys. He's got to spend some time with the missus, but he's going to check in back later. And he also says, better shirt selection tonight, TJ. Look, Grumpy, you happy? I came with a full-sleeved shirt today.
That's good because, the only way you should be able to wear those tank tops is if you were kind of muscular. So I just think it's not a good look for you.
There we go. Well, I want to start off with a little bit more of a lighthearted segment on today's show. Now, you ever hear, Grumpy Old Man, of always those stories where they have like a guy who does like the water on the bench of a basketball team, or he's like an athletic manager or something like that, and he's a guy who you could just tell, either with physical disabilities or just is unable to play the sport. And they let him on the field or they let him on the court kind of towards the end of the game.
Yes, and they let him succeed or.
Well, this one's a little different. It's not necessarily a guy with physical disabilities, unless you call morbid obesity a disability. But you've got here a highlight, Grumpy.
That is a disability, though.
Now, this is again,
Oh,
Buffalo is playing, and I'm not sure who the hell they're playing, but this young man right here is captivating the hearts of millions. Um, and I'll let you watch it, grumpy old man. But Buffalo again, a Division I basketball program. I can't remember who this school is that they're playing against, but I'll let you watch the clip of this heartthrob.
On in. Well, it's a problem if he's good.
big boy.
That's right. Getting non-conference games. Nobody.
Oh no! Oh Jesus!
So he starts.
Oh,
Hold on. It does. There is a silver lining, Grumpy. Right, they're getting throttled. There's still 7 minutes and 43 seconds left. So when they put this guy in, right, this has to be a senior, a guy who always loved basketball, wanted to do something with the team. Maybe he takes stats for the team. Maybe this guy, makes sure that everything is running. Everything's running well for practice, and he's maybe he's more of a game manager type. He's a guy who doesn't see the court all that often, so he falls. But Grumpy, everything is saved, and we'll get to watch it. We'll watch the fall again because I know you want to watch it again.
Nobody wants to play.
Oh my
When he
God.
falls, he's like, "Holy shit!"
It's like, oh my God! Oh, pull your pants up. Oh, he twisted an ankle. His pants are down around his ankles.
And he gets an assist, Grumpy. Look at that, St. John Fisher, Grumpy old man. Look at this. Look at the big man getting. I'll tell you, he's living every big man's dream out
No,
there.
he's not. No, falling down in the front of a big guy, falling down in front of a stadium full of people is not anyone's dream, let alone somebody like this guy. I'm sorry.
Him getting an assist though was his.
Okay.
Him getting some action, some college basketball action. I have no idea if St. John Fisher. I assume they're not a Division I program, probably Division II, maybe Division III. I have no earthly idea. But the guy got out there on the court and he gets himself a little assist.
Oh no, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm sorry. I feel bad for him. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. Already got the assist. Man, you can't be tripping over the line, over the look at this again. Look at this.
You can tell he doesn't move all that well.
Yeah, well,
What he does is he steps on this guy's shoe.
Oh,
as you can see in this little freeze frame right here. What I'm shocked by is as you've got this massive human being stepping on this, this smaller point guard's foot right here, and the point guard did not fall as well, but he rolls his ankle.
Oh, jeez. Oh, and look at his pants. He's got a plumber's crack going on.
That's the thing, right? You could tell this is a guy where it's just like, hey, let's see if we have a uniform that fits Big John.
Oh man, you got to get. Come on.
You
got to have big enough pants for that guy. Okay, no. Oh, poor fella. Number 50. Look at him. Rolled his ankle. Lost his pants.
Good for him though. He got an assist though, man.
I want to see him dunk.
What's that called?
I want to see him dunk or something.
I'm not sure Big John over here could dunk. Look at this. I was about to say this big man is an American here. His name is Connor Williams. This guy's 7 foot tall.
7 foot
He's
tall.
a freshman. Hold on.
He's a player then.
Hold on. This guy is an actual freaking player. Holy shit.
Well, his thing. He's probably a work in progress.
Maybe he's
okay. I'm gonna tell you what. He's way more than 360. He is way more than 360. He's 450 if he's 10 pounds. He's 450. I'm sorry. If he's actually 7 foot tall, that kid's 450 pounds.
Oh my God almighty. Hold on a second. This guy. Holy shit. I thought he was a guy who was, like one of the members of, he doesn't look 7 foot out there. But man, I thought he was one of the guys who was like, hey, I help out the team. I'm a senior now and I wanted to get some action, want to get some playing time. Nope.
So hold on. So you sold this whole segment as this guy's like a Make-A-Wish kid is what you did. And he's actually a scholarship player for Piddly Pup U. So here's the thing. I thought it was bad enough that he fell, rolled his ankle, had a plumber's crack. But no, it's the fact that TJ says he's a Make-A-Wish kid is the only reason he's on the court.
No, I didn't say he was a Make-A-Wish kid.
Okay, well, that's what you were saying. If you got guys who are mentally
I thought he was a guy who was.
I heard what you said.
I said, like, you know how the basketball teams always have a guy who's like the game manager and like he stays with the team. Maybe he's got some sort of physical disability. He's got something wrong with him. He's
Okay.
not great. I said, this is a little different. I said, this guy looks like he just will never touch a basketball. I didn't think a guy
Here's the thing.
380 pounds would be playing college basketball.
I agree. It is different. More than a little different. He's a scholarship athlete. So, I mean, I don't know how much. And here's the thing: I'm sure he's not a full ride. He's probably getting some.
No. Division III. So there are no scholarship.
Yeah, but he's probably getting some type of academic money, and they throw you a couple little bones. They know they can do that. I'm just saying that I didn't think that he was one of those guys because there was way too much time in the game. 7.5 minutes. They don't do that stuff at 7.5 minutes. They'll do it like in the last minute and a half when the game is decided, not 7.5 minutes in. So I was going to question that, but I figured you actually did a little bit of research. My mistake.
Oh my God. Oh, geez, Louise. I
And the fact
I never would have thought this is a guy who's actually starting.
I think
or actually playing. He's going to be there for another 3 seasons.
Well, okay. So what's the first year? It means he's going to try to cut weight. It didn't look like that happened, but maybe the offseason program will work better for him. His thing, he's not 360. I'm telling you, he's not 360. Absolutely not. He's 450 if he's a nickel.
Mm.
I mean, that kid's easily 4.5 bills. No doubt in my mind.
Well,
that said, it's even more criminal now that they didn't have pants that fit him.
Because he's an actual
he's a player on the team. You should have some. You shouldn't. I mean, I felt bad for him falling.
When I watched the whole thing, and again, I didn't go scouring the internet for this guy. I just like a quick Google. I started searching through the comments as we had it pulled up in between Grump, and it looks like he's an athlete on the team. Good for him though. I'm sure he's gonna be losing hopefully a few pounds. I mean, he can't be getting up and down the court that well at 360, 380 pounds. I mean, 360 looks like it may be undersold a little bit.
A little. He's 450. He's 450. That kid, if he's 7 foot tall, he's 450.
Oh, good gracious!
Look at the size of everything on him. I mean, I'm not putting the kid down. I'm just saying. I mean, I hate that his career highlight is going to be him falling, stepping on a little point guard. I mean, here's the thing: that point guard saw him coming. He was probably thinking, "I'll take the charge," and he looked up. Hell no.
Well, here's the thing. Hopefully he can make light of it because, if you have the right sense of humor, I mean, like you can always make light of a situation like that. That being said, Grump, I thought that was going to be a lighthearted segment. I really did, Grump. I didn't know there was a player. Nothing fit on him. I was like, okay, this is just some guy was just a part of the team, the organization, being like a guy who takes down notes or something. But no,
nothing fit him because he's 450 pounds and 7 foot tall. And they're a Division III school. That's why nothing fit him.
Well, I want to bring up, kind of shifting gears. I was trying for a lighthearted segment, guys. It didn't work out all that well. I'll try next time a little better. Did you hear again? Russell Wilson is being linked to a possible trade destination of the New York Giants
or the New Orleans Saints, or I think there was another team also.
I think to myself and I go, geez, my God. I'm like, you think is it a done deal that he's going to be out of Seattle in the offseason?
I think he's unhappy with the direction of the team. When your team is 4-9 or whatever they are, it can't be good. I mean, he's got how many more years left, right?
I think he's 5. I think they're 5-8 because I think they just beat Houston today.
Okay. But he's 32, 33 years old. He doesn't have a whole lot of time left. They're in for a major rebuild. I don't know why he'd want to go to the Giants. Honestly. What was that, TJ? What was that noise, TJ?
It scared. I don't know if you saw it. It scared the living shit out of me. I was trying to pull up all the destinations of 10 teams that his agent released that he would be looking to move to. Russell Wilson's got to be expensive as hell. He's not going to be traded away for a bag of used balls. He has a lot of value, I feel like.
Yeah. He's been a little bit injury prone the last couple of years, but that's what happens. It just does. As you get older, you're more injury prone, unless you're Tom Brady. So we see that from him. I'm just surprised the Giants are on his list because I just think they have so far to go. They have some weapons, but I don't know if he would be enough to put them over the top. Where New Orleans, actually makes a lot of sense. They're still a really good team who's just missing a quarterback.
How are they gonna go ahead and make that work though, cap-wise? You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing that I always wonder.
Well, for New Orleans, it's really difficult because they're right up at the top of the cap every year.
I was about to say, adding a guy like Russell Wilson is not gonna help. I mean, you're gonna probably have to send back Taysom Hill going the other direction because he makes quite a pretty penny. Uh, I'm not sure, Grump. I
Well,
mean,
they
like,
just signed Taysom Hill to a 4-year deal.
but the 3 he would strongly, and this is now the, Jordan Schultz, an independent reporter, said that he would strongly consider waiving his no trade clause for the Denver Broncos, the New York Giants, and the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I mean, New Orleans, I guess it makes the most for me, it makes the most sense. I don't know if it's that they're able to work out the money. That's the biggest thing. But then he comes out and he denies it like a day and a half later, not immediately, like a day and a half later, which I thought was kind of strange. Um,
He always does that shit though, and this is like that situation has been so odd from the start. And you think about even this last off season, where they said there were rumors coming out that both camps, Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, were not getting along. They weren't communicating with each other. And then Pete Carroll's like, "Oh no, everything's fine," and you're just like, "Yeah, things are not adding up."
yeah, but it's the same teams all the time that he's supposedly looking at. Maybe who was the writer? Justin Schultz.
Schultz, I can't remember first name, but
Okay.
Schultz.
Well, maybe he just recycled an old tweet from, the off season because it's the same teams and it was the same thing. It's like, oh, we already heard this.
I don't know. Rappaport was reporting this too, so
Okay.
usually when I see that, I'm like, okay, it's at least one name you could trust.
Until Schefter reports it, I'll wait.
Yeah, ridiculous. Schefter only reports the done deals, Grumper, when there's really a lot of heat. He's talking about in the offseason. They're not going to get moved right now.
No.
But I look at this and I think to myself, the Saints make sense. I do agree with you. But the reason everybody always, I think, links him to the Giants is because his wife is Sierra and she likes to sing and she's like a more in the fashion scene and she wants to be in New York. So it works out well for the wife as well. I think also is a reason why. But tell me this: if the Giants were to trade for a guy like Russell Wilson, I'd have to assume it's going to cost both their first round picks this year, right? Which could possibly be 2 top 10 picks.
Yeah. Why would you do that?
I was about to say, why the hell would the New York Giants ever do something? I promise you they would do something like that, but why should they? It would not make any sense. He is going to have a hefty price on him.
I think next year is the last year of his deal, correct?
I'll have to pull that up. I think so.
I believe it is. But when my point is on that is you're starting to see quarterbacks shoot their way out of town. It started with Brady and New England, where the last year they renegotiated that contract the last year. And Brady said, okay, we'll renegotiate, but you can't franchise me. Rodgers did the same thing this offseason. He's free to go anywhere next year. And now Wilson, you're saying he has 2 years left on his deal?
Yeah, he's got 2 years left on his deal, Russell Wilson.
Okay. But I mean, here's the thing. If a guy is that unhappy and wants to leave, especially a quarterback, why would you keep him? It makes no sense to have a disgruntled quarterback. Now, he doesn't strike me as being that type of guy, honestly. But if he's that unhappy, this is going to be on 2 years now that there's rumors that he wants to leave and go somewhere else.
I'm saying there's got to be some validity behind it because we keep hearing it and hearing it. Usually where there's smoke, there's fire. But when you look at a guy like Russell Wilson, yeah, not only has he had a few injuries, I mean, this year was the finger when the follow through on his throw. That being said, you forget he's 33 years old.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, why why on earth would the Giants or any other team? The Giants are a relatively young team. They've got the wrong head coach. They have the wrong general manager. That's the big issue with the Giants, and they have the wrong guy at the helm at quarterback. But just planting in a 33-year-old who's towards the tail end of his career, and Russell Wilson, is not going to be a fix-all for that solution for the Giants. And you're going to have a situation where you're going to be mediocre, maybe a little above average, and you're going to go right back into shitter again. Well, I mean, like at 33, 34, 35-year-old quarterbacks that predominantly use their legs or have used their legs to a substantial portion of their game do not get better as they age.
Yeah, he's a lot like Mahomes in the fact that their game is not predicated on running. Rodgers too, right? They can run, but he's not Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or Kyler Murray, all those guys where they have designed runs for them for the most part. It's about escapability for those guys, and he's real good at that. And you're right, he'll be 33. But for me, why would the Giants want to do that? Because offensively, they have the weapons. And Daniel Jones is not the answer. And you got yourself, when healthy, he's easily a top, 7 or 8 quarterback in the league.
I'd say no doubt about it, top 10. You're looking at top 10 guy in the league.
Yeah.
I don't even care if you try to argue. You don't like Russell, he's top 10, no matter on anybody's board.
Yeah, I happen to like Russell Wilson. So, and that could help get them back afloat. And then you can draft another quarterback, and he doesn't have to, perform right away. The Giants have talent, just all the pieces aren't there yet, and particularly a quarterback. You need a quarterback.
I'm just telling you. I think it would cost probably their 2 first-round picks this year. So you're looking at possibly 2 top 10 picks going the other direction.
Unless he makes such a big stink that it's just better to get rid of him. Maybe just one and a player or something like that. New Orleans isn't going to give 2 first-round picks for him.
Think about what New Orleans would. They're going to have to go ahead and get rid of some of that cap hit. And again, remember, the way the cap works is all that signing bonus gets accelerated to the team who trades the individual. So with a dead cap. That being said, I lost my train of thought, Bro.
That's okay. But like I said, I don't. You ask why the Giants would do it. I think that's why they would do it. They figured the NFC East is kind of weak, and maybe a quarterback puts them over the top. Maybe that's the thought process, and the fact that Daniel Jones,
a new head coach. You're going to have a new head coach in New York. Joe Judge he's living on borrowed time. It's the 3rd week in a row I think that they've come out and just got absolutely rolled. The Giants have not looked good this season, and they have been losing in very unconvincing fashions.
True, agreed. Like I said, my whole thing is, if you get a new coach in there, who would want Russell Wilson as your quarterback to start? He can do everything out there. He's really good. He's good at deep balls, and the Giants have quite a few deep ball receivers in Tony and
Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard. They've got a lot of them. Galladay, they've got Galloway, they got a few of them.
Right, and Slayton's a deep threat also. So,
but okay, so you have to assume Seattle's going to start the rebuild. Have not been successful as of recent, and they've struggled mightily this year. They're going to start the rebuild, so I assume it's going to be a full-on fire sale. And I assume Pete Carroll will be on the way out also.
He's an older coach. He's in I think he's 71.
I was about to say he's an older coach too. Warzone Senior Citizen said, after hearing what they did to Golashev, no matter what Bellows does, he won't get a real shot until he's 30.
Yeah, that's like I said, for me, it's concerning. As a fan of the organization, the New York Islanders organization, because the players talk. And if that's your rep around the league, I think it will hurt you in signing free agents. We've never had a high-profile free agent ever sign with the Islanders. Andrew Ladd was the closest we ever had. Those are just facts. And free agency's been around for 15 years?
Quite some time. I don't envision us ever getting a top name free agent. Alexander saying, "Hey guys, good evening. Hope you're doing great again. As always, greatest show on the internet. The 2 goats. And the movies. Watching West Side Story with the wife. In my opinion, I don't think Wilson goes anywhere. But the key person in all of this is Sierra. She'll determine his mindset."
Well, happy wife, happy life. That's why Alexander is watching West Side Story tonight with his wife. Actually, I'm interested to hear Alexander's review on that movie because, I'm a big fan of the original, and they say this one's pretty good. So, like I said, I was a fan of the original, but the big question is, Alexander, with your wife having that dental surgery, is she able to eat popcorn? Because that is imperative to the movie viewing experience, in my opinion.
It is. Frank K saying, sad thing is Mara is riding Daddy's and Eli's coattails. He's been dreadful. I wish he'd sell the team.
Yeah. Wellington Mara has been dead for a long, long time. John Mara, he's been an okay owner. He and the Tisch guy, Robert's son, whatever his name is. I don't think you can criticize the Giants organization. They're loyal to a fault. And, we've had championships, as a Giants fan. So I'm not complaining. I do think they need to change the direction, though, without a doubt. And the head coach certainly has to go. I was surprised actually when Joe Judge was hired. I thought they should have waited for Josh McDaniels.
I thought not only Joe, I mean, think about, well, Josh McDaniels is still a coordinator, man. He's not gone anywhere. But
He'll go somewhere after this year.
okay, they always say that about Josh McDaniels. That
No,
being said,
this year.
no? They say that every damn offseason. Josh McDaniels, he could be moved. This could be a prime opportunity, a prime candidate to bring in as a head coach. They talk about it every offseason.
Well, it'll happen this year.
Okay, it's gonna
until I say it, it's not happening. It's happening this year.
Oh, Jesus, man. I'll tell you. I remember when he had everything all but signed a few years ago. I can't remember where it was with again, but he wound up backing out the last second.
Indianapolis.
Okay. I knew it was, I couldn't remember who it was with, but I remember they said everything was all but done. The ink was on everything, but the ink was on the line and he backed out. So I'll be interested to see when and if he does take another head coaching position. He did fail in Detroit many years ago now.
It was Denver. It was Denver, not Detroit.
I'm sorry, Denver. But I'm trying to think. That was the James Paxton or the Paxton Lynch type.
Tim Tebow. That was Tim Tebow.
Jesus.
Tebow was his guy. He wanted Tebow in the first round. Mistake. Not even hindsight being 2020. Tebow was never going to be an NFL quarterback. But that's the guy that Josh McDaniels wanted, and his reputation took a hit. After that, he went to the Rams as offensive coordinator, and then back to New England. And playing with coaching Tom Brady solves every issue that you possibly have. And I think he's ready for another shot.
Well, speaking about Josh McDaniels in that time period, I mean, even when Tim Tebow used to be quarterback with the Broncos, a member of the Broncos in that community tragically lost his life and died. Demaryius Thomas. I think it was actually right after we get off the podcast, late Thursday evening or early Friday morning. I think he had a seizure and wound up dying.
Yeah, and for me, the one thing, I remember him playing at Georgia Tech. I never thought he was the toughest player. I thought you could take him out of the game, but everyone said he was a really good player. Don't get me wrong, a really good player, but you could physical him out of the game, if you know what I mean. But every single person said what a great person he was, and said for as good a football player he was a much better person. And they said that his smile, as you can see right there, just lit up every room that he walked into. And what a shame, honestly. I remember hearing about this. I'm like, oh, you hate to see somebody that young have something happen. I believe it was some medical condition, which caused him to pass away. But what a shame. Really shocking Thursday evening. Really shocking.
I was about to say, I think what the Broncos did today, they came out, I think, for the first offensive play, only with 10 men out there in a field, and took a delay game penalty. And then, of course, the Detroit Lions declined a penalty, but, just to show respect and honor there for Demaryius Thomas.
I knew they were playing the Lions today, but I would have taken Denver over probably anyone today. I mean, they blew out Denver, but, when you have something like that happen, it kind of galvanizes a team, if you know what I mean. And you just saw I mean, he just retired this offseason as a member that he signed one of those one-day contracts with Denver when he was retiring. And, the organization just loved him. And just what a shame. What a shame.
Yeah, I tell you, and you forget, right? He literally, when you talk about just retired, I mean, he played up until 2019. With the Jets was his last season, his last active season. So a guy, even take the clock back, he was on that Super Bowl team when the Broncos went and beat the Carolina Panthers. And a lot of those guys, I'm sure that are still on the team, had connections and knew Demaryius Thomas well. So if you were a betting man, I mean, you could have felt strong to put all the money there on the Denver Broncos here this afternoon.
Yeah, you just, like I said, that was my thought earlier, and I just kind of went off it. But that motivation is real, particularly in football, right? It's a big game for emotion and drive, and I'm happy for the Denver community. Really sad for Demaryius Thomas's family. Just from everything you read, just a real high class individual. Just terrible, just terrible.
Absolutely. Crump, can you pull your shirt down a little bit there? You're hitting it. Thank you. And then Alexander is saying here, she can't eat popcorn, but in my opinion, it's very good. She's sitting here singing all the songs in the movie theater. But I love that Denver did honor Demaryius Thomas.
Yeah, that just the 10 guys on the field and then them scoring a touchdown, all putting the ball in the 88 on the field. Just, just really nice thing. I'll just always remember him for catching that pass from Tebow in overtime against Pittsburgh.
Yes,
I think it was first play of overtime.
it was
80-yard pass or whatever the heck it was. And really a magical play for Denver. I mean, great. I mean, just fan. And that was a great game. Great story, actually, Tebow that year and leading Denver's win as far as they went.
And shifting gears here a bit, Grump. I'm not sure if you happen to see what's going down in Jacksonville, right? We always cover the miserable, the miserable nonsense that's going on with Urban Meyer. So you're getting a lot of press all over the place with Urban Meyer here this afternoon. Now, this is one that's kind of the little clip that's all over the place, and everybody says, remember, Mike Vrabel used to be a coach on Urban Meyer's staff at Ohio State. And usually when you coach with another guy, you usually have a good reception with them. You usually will speak with them a bit, maybe give them a hug because hell, you're in the same foxhole as that guy for, a few years. And just taking a look at this handshake, doesn't look all too cordial.
Well, unless you're Bill Belichick. Here's the thing though. He did a blow by. I don't think it was to disrespect Mike Vrabel. I think he's like, man, I'm doing everything to get myself fired from this team, and they just won't get rid of me.
Now, what do you mean by Grumpy's doing everything to get himself fired?
Well, we had the lap dance from his niece, earlier in the year when he didn't take the plane home with the team because he had to go home and be with his family, and he's at some bar. I think it's a bar he owns, and some girl's rubbing up on him, and he's not putting up much resistance. And then, this last week, he publicly, supposedly, berated the coaching staff.
Assistant coaches, yeah. He called them losers. He called certain assistant coaches losers that got leaked out. And he vehemently denied that he said he called any coach a loser. And
Now,
then
it took him a number of days to come out with that retort.
yes, it did. They made this claim. It was like not until 2 days later until he was asked that question or finally answered the question by the press. And he said, no, I never did that. and there were rumors that in the post game that Marvin Jones, the wide receiver for Jacksonville, and him got in a big screaming and argument match in the locker room.
Yeah, denied that also.
So, well, go ahead.
And he said, whatever is coming out, whoever, look at him. He just looks so unhappy. Doesn't he look unhappy? Very unhappy.
Yeah, but I'll let you finish your point, Gro.
Supposedly, he also said that whoever's leaking this erroneous information out of the locker room, if he finds out who it is, they're unemployed. Oh, there it is right there.
That's what I had pulled up. I wasn't sure if you were going to pull that up, but I found that hilarious. Whoever's leaking this stuff is going to be unemployed. Yeah. Jesus Christ, man. You look at the game plan. And again, I don't care if the Jacksonville Jaguars are successful or not. What do they have? 6 rushing attempts today? It's 6 rushing attempts, 8 rushing yards. I mean, and I mean, they said, here you go, Trevor Lawrence. We're going to let you throw 45, 50 times here today. And he throws 4 picks. You just think to yourself, all right, Urban Meyer, maybe you have not noticed that when your team is able to establish a little bit of a run game, you can use Trevor Lawrence as, a complimentary piece right now because he's not ready to take the reins and be a guy who throws the ball 45 times a game.
Well, maybe you should have drafted some offensive linemen. Just like some consideration for that. I don't know.
Oh, baby. Low line action.
Just spitballing here.
But I'll tell you, I mean, Urban Meyer, Jesus, you want to talk about the wheels falling off. I think if you're going to Vegas, you can go ahead and put your money down that Urban Meyer will be canned this offseason. No doubt in my mind.
They gave him a vote of confidence. He's like, screw that shit. I'm going to do something else. I know he has to be trying to get himself fired. There is no other explanation. None. Yeah. He wants to go back to college, I'm sure, where he can be, ruled with an iron.
I'm telling you, he has done such a shitty job at his NFL stint. I'm not sure what top tier college would offer him a job.
Anyone would offer him a job.
I'm not sure.
He's a great college football coach. a fantastic recruiter, and a great college football coach. Does not necessarily translate to the NFL.
He's a hell of a recruiter, not a good coach. Um,
He's a, no,
his lack of coaching gets exposed at this level because in the NFL, right, a lot of the teams are very similar talent wise. In college, when you're coaching at Ohio State, you're going to be better just because you can recruit better, going to have the better players, the better athletes. It doesn't require as much of an ability to coach as it does when you're in the NFL or when you're at one of those smaller schools where the talent level disparity is not as large.
yeah, I disagree. I think he's a really good college football coach. In the NFL, it's just different. It's just different. You can be the king in college. It's not the way it is in the pros. Just isn't. Guys, I mean, remember, he rules with an iron fist in college. Can't do that in the pros.
To show you, Urban Meyer has now lost as many games in one season with the Jags as he has in his combined 9 seasons with Ohio State and Utah in college.
Yeah. I don't know what he did at Florida. Remember, he won a national championship in Florida and at Ohio State, and he turned the Utah program around. He's a good college. He's a very good college coach. Just not a good pro coach. Lou Holtz was the same thing. He was a really good college coach.
Lou Holtz never had all of the character issues, and I'm telling you, that is what's going to stop him from being rehired immediately as a college coach. Is all the character issues. He'll probably have to take a year off.
Well, he's done that before. Everyone's already hired their guys for next year, but he'll be the hot name the year after that, and he'll get hired. If he wants to go back to coaching, he will. He's an excellent college football coach.
Alexander saying Urban Meyer has gone after this season. I still can't believe we gave Stinky Fingers his first win in something like 20 some odd games.
It's because you got Noodles as a quarterback, Alexander.
Yeah. Tony Cheese saying, "Ayo, what's up, Tony?
Ayo,
ayo." I don't think it was like that.
I come and I wanna go home.
Now you will be interested here. You know who Jedrick Wills is, grumpy old man.
He's offensive tackle for Cleveland, I believe. There you go.
Yes, he is.
Out of Alabama.
Do you know what an Instagram story is?
I do not.
So an Instagram story.
I guess you have an Instagram account and you tell a story. Is that pretty much it?
Well, they take a picture and you can upload a few pictures that stay on your profile for like 24 hours or something like that. Well, long story short, Jedrick Wills. Now, this was this evening after the Browns won, in a very unconvincing fashion, right? Lamar Jackson for the Baltimore Ravens goes out. I'd say it was it on the second quarter, early in the second quarter with an ankle injury, who apparently had to leave the facilities with a boot on this evening. And the Browns were barely able to hold on to a win against the backup quarterback Huntley from the Ravens. And Jedrick Wills posted this on his Instagram feed shortly thereafter. Pro athletes should just go to regular people's jobs and boo the F out of them. Like, boo, you bagging groceries, slow as F, you effing bum.
No. Shut up, Jedrick Wills. Shut up.
What do professional athletes not understand about when they're booed? They're not booing you as an individual. They're booing the product and the collective product on the field. And you get booed because you're getting paid in 1 year more than the majority of the people who are at the game get paid in their entire lifetime. So right. If you go to a guy making minimum wage bagging groceries, a little bit different than you getting booed when you're making, 10, 15, $20 million a year. Just a tiny bit different.
If Grocery Boy was getting paid $10 million a year, well, let's see, he plays 16, 17 games. So, and Grocery Boy's there every day. So let's say Grocery Boy's getting paid $150 million a year because, he's there every day, 8 hours a day. Then you could boo him if he's slow. But instead, this is probably a guy who's making minimum wage at best, maybe a college student or, just some kid, a high school student.
Or an adult that doesn't have an education that, has had bad luck and, he's in a position where he's not happy and he's in transitioning.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The whole thing is, dude, you don't get it. You have such a good life playing a sport for a living that you don't realize how other people have it. Just keep your mouth shut. Just keep your mouth shut. Also in that game, remember that Baker Mayfield got hurt also, which certainly hindered Cleveland down the stretch.
Do you want to get him ruled out with a concussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was at halftime. So
I did see that I saw that he was very upset that the official, the third party individual, wanted to go ahead and get him checked for the concussion. He did not want to come out of the game.
yeah, I don't blame him.
But I figured you'd find that interesting. Anytime players are tweeting some dumb nonsense like that's like when Tyrann Mathieu came at the Kansas City Chiefs fans earlier on this year, and it said, "You guys should be grateful for what we've produced out there on the field. You know, you shouldn't be caring that we're struggling right now." It's like
The
they don't
grump,
understand what it's like when you're a fan.
the grumpy old man is going to give a little educational advice to every athlete that there is. If you talk about the fans, only talk about them in a positive way. If you don't like what they're doing, just keep your mouth shut. And you can just smile because you can think to yourself, well, gosh, look at how much money I have and you don't. I'm going to be happy about that. So you get booed or whatever. Suck it up. Remember, the situation you're in is what most people, the vast majority, the overwhelming majority, 99.9% of the people in the world do not have the money that you have. I just need you to really think about that.
I want you to take a look at this. It's funny, right? Michael Strahan went to space, and they made a tweet saying, you know, if you had Michael Strahan going to space before Urban Meyer won 3 NFL games, you can go ahead and cash that bet in now. Think about how nuts that is.
Yeah, that's a prop bet. I don't know if you do it through our sponsor or not.
I'll tell you, it's odd, Grumpy. It's odd anytime I see something like that. Michael Strahan going to space. But I'll tell you, it's no college football this week, so it was a little odd, Grump.
Army Navy played.
Okay. One game, but I mean, like as a whole, not a lot of additional college games.
True.
It's not like I had every single hour slot on a Saturday filled with college football.
True. That's a big game, though. Army Navy, they play the only game on that week, and I'm glad that they continue that tradition.
I was hoping you'd have a little something more to say there, Grump, about college football and nothing else going on, but fair enough, Grumpy.
Bowl games start, right? Next week, bowl games start. I think starting the 17th or 18th.
That they do. They do. So, I mean, we're going to be covering, again, the big bowl games, that's for certain. And you saw, I'm sure, that Cam Newton, grumpy old man, was benched again today. Second time in the 4 some odd games he's been a member of the Carolina Panthers. Been miserable, and that entire Carolina Panthers team has been miserable. That's another team that's, I'm sure, on the lookout trying to acquire a quarterback any way possible.
They had an opportunity to draft a quarterback this offseason. They decided to ride the Sam Darnold train. I didn't have a problem with them trading for Darnold, but I thought they should have picked a quarterback as well. And then made the best guy win, you move the other one. PJ Walker is barely a backup. You know why I'm qualified to say that? I watch his games. He is not very good. But Cam Newton is abominable. I mean, where are all the people wearing their fancy little get-ups that Cam likes to wear at the games now? They're not doing that anymore.
Well, here's the thing. When you're not winning and you don't look good on the field, I mean.
Well, it's never stopped him from dressing up like a circus clown, though.
Well, he's definitely an extravagant dresser, that's for certain. But, Grump, before we get to our next topic, we do have an ad to read here from Draftkings.
Before you read that ad, one thing Cam Newton did do today, he scored his 74th rushing touchdown of his career, which tied him with the great Earl Campbell. So a little bit embarrassing for Earl Campbell to be mentioned in the same breath as Cam Newton, but I just did it. Sorry, Earl.
Earl Campbell, what did he only play for like 8 years?
Yeah, he was beat up. He was a great running back, though. Great.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Earl Campbell was a guy who didn't play a lot of football, man, in the NFL. He's a guy who took a lot of punishment. And for you to say that, you talk about, here's the thing, Earl Campbell's a Hall of Famer. And you don't have to worry about that. No, I'm sorry. He only played was it full seasons? He played 9 full years, 9 years in the NFL.
Yeah, he would beat up at the end. A real physical style, a lot of contact, head to head, all that stuff. So I just wanted to mention Earl Campbell because I thought he a really fantastic person, also, as well as a great football player.
Only 8 games or only 8 seasons. I apologize. That being said, we've got an ad read here from Draftkings Grump. Football fans, I'm sure we all love an action-packed, high-scoring NFL game, but with the latest no-brainer from DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, you'll be a winner once a single point is scored. New customers who bet just $1 on any team can win $100 in free bets. It's that simple. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still get in on all the NFL action. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports Contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code THPN and bet just $1 on any team to score and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score with promo code THPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. You must be 21 years or older in New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum of a $5 deposit and a $1 wager is required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Good, very good reading there, TJ. Very impressive.
Oh, well, that's what I'm always looking for, Grumpy, is that. So let's go ahead and migrate a little bit to a fan fight segment, Grump. Go ahead, Grump.
I love fan fight segments.
I was about to say, I know how much you love your fan fight segments. Now, this was a little earlier in the season. You know how we talked about how it seems like those teams out in California just seem to fight the hell out of each other. This was another one between the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, this game seemed to have a whole lot of fighting, and I'll let you watch this, grumpy old man. It was a lot of button heads. Oh, well, that's
are we going to watch it the whole way through and then comment after, and then go run it back through again?
Sure, Grump.
Okay.
So I'll put it in slow-mo for you. So we got two individuals here from the Raiders. You could tell they are absolutely hammer drunk, and they're messing it up. They're fighting here with a few Charger fans. Ooh, first punch. I think he knocks himself down trying to swing.
Yeah, I think so. He just fell. Number 10 is doing again his pants. What's with people in their pants? Pull up your pants.
I couldn't tell you, Grump. So it wasn't a crazy fight, but I'll tell you, just I think it's just crazy how many fights broke out at that game. And just maybe that, those Charger fans really don't like those Raider fans.
I mean, it just must be miserable to live in California. That's what I think. That's why they're so angry all the time.
It could be, Grumpy. Well,
I mean, you saw Jim Plunkett was out there fighting. Greg Pruitt was out there fighting for the Raiders against Herbert. Herbert looks a little bit more svelte on television than he does out in front of the stadium. But he could throw a punch.
And we had another one here. Now, this is one that was sent by Alexander here. This is one at the Dog Pound, grumpy old man, mixing it up with some Raven fans. As you could tell, it's a sea full of Browns orange. And you see this character right here in the purple. That is our only Ravens fan in that section.
Dope. I don't know what he was doing, but he's asking for trouble. No, this guy, Mr. Gray Shirt, it means business.
I don't know. There wasn't much punching going around. It's
just throwing him around like he's a little rag doll, Mr. Gray Shirt. They just keep pushing him out. He's like one of those little dogs. They just keep, while the big dogs are fighting, they just keep kicking him to the side. Oh.
To be honest with you, there weren't any crazy good fight. And you like how it ended here, like at this portion, right? Hey, the fight's over. It's like when a hockey fight breaks out, right? They pummel the hell out of each other. Then it's like, okay, we're kind of done. Hey, everything's settled. That's it. No more punchings going on. All righty, guys, let's go ahead and pack up and head home.
Nice to see Bernie Kosar and Myles Garrett up there in the stands trying to keep peace.
Yeah, Myles Garrett. He's having a fantastic season, Grump. That's all I'm going to say on that. I don't have too much else to talk football-wise, Grumpy. But I want to go ahead and migrate a little bit. Did you happen to see what happened in Formula One racing?
I heard something about it. It's not a big fan favorite, but go ahead, TJ.
Well, Grump, that's fine, man. I don't have anything else to talk about today. We can end it early. 49.
I sent you a bunch of stuff, and you're just
no. When you send me shit, Grump, here, ladies and gentlemen, listeners of the show, when Grump, I say, hey, Grump, I want you to go ahead and do a little bit of work. I I look for things and items to talk about, Grump. I always like when you do the same. Grumpy just sends me a whole bunch of articles about, hey, Tom Brady 700 touchdowns pass. Hey, Tom Brady thrown for this many touchdowns. I'm like, bro, come on, grumpy old man. We need a little bit more than that.
Okay, here's what else I sent TJ, just to let people know that he's just so full of crap. It's coming out of his damn ears. Okay, I sent him the Urban Meyer thing, which we discussed. I sent him.
You didn't think I already had that?
No, I'm
Okay,
sure you
go ahead.
did. I sent him the Demaryius Thomas stuff. I did send Tom Brady stuff. I also sent the Cam Newton stuff.
Okay, Grump, I had all that shit before you sent it. I was
And
hoping
I
you
sent
were going
him
to get
an article on Micah Parsons and the season he's having for Dallas. I also sent him Kevin Durant getting fined for having an altercation with the fan.
Why don't you tell me about it then, Grump? Don't just go ahead. You know what? Introduce.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Tell me about it.
You keep on saying, let's end the pod. Like, I don't do anything. I send you things, you just ignore them because it's not what you're interested in. Go ahead, talk about your silly little car racing thing.
No, here we go, Grumpy.
Let's see if we can got all of our subscribers by you talking about
Talk about Kevin Durant there, Grump.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Kevin Durant was fined $25,000 for hurling obscenities at a fan. Now, I will say one thing for NBA players. They are so close to the action, and you know that these players are talking mad garbage to them all day. I'm sure, he just didn't say, you know what? I don't like the way that guy looked in row A, seat 12. I don't like that. I just didn't like the way he looked. This guy was talking mad shit to him the whole game. And I can understand why that happens. But once again, I'm going to say to the players, just ignore them. You make so much more money than they do. You should just look at them and smile and just acknowledge it. Yeah, you're great. And that drives them even more crazy. I mean, sometimes you just kill them with kindness. Again, players, athletes, don't get yourself involved with the fans. It never turns out well for you. What about you, TJ? What do you think about that?
$25,000 is a fraction of a percent of what Kevin Durant makes every single year. A fraction of a percent. And guess what? Doesn't matter, right?
It's not. I'm not talking about the money. I'm talking about him actually engaging with the fans like that.
They do that all the time. Have you not seen when a fan says something that they don't like, they sometimes get fans thrown out of games? Do you not pay attention to that type of stuff, Grump?
But don't you think he just should have alerted the referee to alert security as opposed to him cursing at him? He just could have smiled at him because you would have really driven the fan crazy if you kill him with kindness. Yeah, my mom makes more money than you. Those type of things. It always drives the fans absolutely insane. If you want to drive a fan insane, just go tell them stuff like that. You don't have to curse at them. I just think it's foolish. That's all.
Okay. You got fined $25,000. Trust me, it's not hurting him anytime soon, Grumpy.
I find it interesting that anything that I bring up, TJ's just going to poo-poo just like he did that. Just totally poo-pooed it like it doesn't matter.
Well, hold on. When you bring a conversation piece like that, Grumpy, what are you expecting it to be? A little 5-minute quick segment? Come on now, man.
Well, you just ignore it. I was expecting more from you, TJ. I was expecting more comment on you from that, TJ. Isn't that what you say to me all the time? I was expecting more from you on that.
Well, Grump.
But let's talk about the season. Let's talk about the season Micah Parsons is having.
He's having a good year. Here's the thing.
It's probably the best rookie season by a defensive player since Lawrence Taylor.
Bullshit.
Okay.
Bullshit. Dude, I'm telling you. Have you ever watched any of those Dallas Cowboy games? Or are you just looking at the stat line saying,
he's really good.
Fantastic.
He is really, really good.
Jesus Christ.
He's outstanding. He is absolutely outstanding. For a rookie linebacker, he's outstanding.
You know what? Let's just play a game called let's look at it from the other point of view, the other perspective. So Micah Parsons, when he's blitzing coming out, most times he's getting matched with a running back. Look at his sacks today. He's one-on-one with a freaking running back. Newsflash, Grumpy. Anytime I've got a Mike linebacker, anytime I've got a linebacker matched up one-on-one with a running back, I'm expecting a sack. I'm expecting a pressure. I'm expecting something. He's had a good season. There's no doubt about it. 14 sacks. The Cowboys defense as a whole is much improved off of last season. Their secondary is much better. And again, when you have good defensive coverage, you're going to see guys go ahead and accumulate more sacks. He's having a good season. I'm just saying pump the freaking brakes a little bit.
Okay. So when he ends the season probably with 20 sacks.
20 sacks. Really.
He's got 14 already. He's got one a game. And he's gotten better as the season's gone on. The kid is really good. I mean, and for you, I mean, like I said, he's having just as much of an impactful year as Lawrence Taylor did his first year with the Giants. You wouldn't know because you never saw Lawrence Taylor play. So you don't know.
Is that what it is, Grumpy? Huh? I'm just telling
exactly
you, man. Micah Parsons has put up good numbers. Remember, though, do you know what division he's playing in, Grump? Are we overlooking that? He's playing in the worst division in freaking football. The NFC East is the worst freaking division in freaking football.
Slow your roll. You're the same guy who kept on gushing about Chase Young, who played in a worse division.
Chase Young plays a different position than freaking Mike.
He wasn't anywhere near as productive as
they
Michael
played
Parsons.
Two completely different positions, and they played two different formations on defense, Grump.
He wasn't even nearly as productive as Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons makes plays all over the field. All over the field. He hasn't been stopped all year. He's really, really good. And I think a lot of teams probably, what was he picked? 14th? Or I forget exactly where he was picked. But every team ahead of him is probably saying, man, we really should have looked at that guy a little bit harder. Remember the reason why he dropped? Because going into the draft process, he was like a top 2 or top 3 pick. But he had some type of character issues, which caused him to slide. It was a great pick by Dallas.
He was a tweener. He didn't have a good. He wasn't tall enough, as they didn't like his size. That was the thing that brought a lot of people off on him.
Yes, absolutely not. He had some off the field issues at Penn State. That's what the issue was. What's his size? Tell me his size.
Give me a sec, Grump. I'll pull it up for you.
Okay, pull that up because I know you're probably going to try to fudge the size, or maybe say you can't find that now, which just proves my point. He's not small.
6'3". I thought he had size issues, but I guess not. They said he was a tweener. I always said the guy was a tweener. And here's the other thing. Again, I'll let you know, Micah Parsons and Chase Young played two completely different positions. I don't know how
Chase Young couldn't do. Chase Young could never do what Micah Parsons does. Never.
Micah Parsons can't put his finger down in the dirt and go ahead and stop the run like he does. Micah Parsons does a good job, shifting directions. He's a guy who plays as a Mike and outside linebacker, rushes a lot. He's a guy who's got free reign, and he comes in on rush situations where that's literally his only exact job. When they're sending him on a blitz, they say, hey, we're going to go ahead and we're going to run a stunt here by the two defensive linemen. We're going to try to draw an offensive lineman off to give you an easy route to the quarterback. When your defensive line's doing a good job, it opens up more opportunities and options for you. Chase Young is a guy who puts his fingers down in the dirt, Grumpy, at 290 pounds every single play, and is more tasked for containing on the edge, and he's a true defensive end.
Yeah, this kid's better than him as a defensive player. I'm just telling you, he's a better defensive player. Lawrence Taylor never put his freaking hand in the dirt either. He was a linebacker.
Completely different positions, man.
No. He's a linebacker just like Micah Parsons was.
Saying Micah Parsons and Chase Young are two different positions.
Chase Young is nowhere. A sideline to sideline linebacker is way more valuable than a defensive end. Way more valuable. He can rush the passer better than Chase Young, and he can cover. Chase Young can't do that. Linebackers who can do with that skill set are few and far between. Very few and far between. Just watch. Just keep watching his career.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see, Grumpy. But again, I don't foresee too much of continued success. Don't expect them to be rattling off 15, 16 sacks a season. Eventually, when you have a year like that, they start game planning around you. Once they do that, you kind of get neutralized a tiny bit. When you're, again, having all these delayed blitzes that you're able to cash in on sacks on, they start looking for items like that. So, Grump, it's worth taking that into account. A lot of guys can come out their rookie season, really light the world on fire. You see it at quarterback position. You see it sometimes at those outside rushing positions, outside rush ends positions, and outside linebacker positions. And they kind of tail off a little bit. That's once they start getting game planned around. Takes a truly special one to continue it up. I mean, here's the question. Do you think he's better than Von Miller was when he came on to his prime?
He's better than Von Miller was his first year in the league. This is his first. He's a rookie. He's a freaking rookie, and he might win Defensive Player of the Year. So you could, like when you poo-poo Saquon Barkley for having 2,500 yards in scrimmage.
How has Saquon Barkley looked?
It doesn't matter.
I'm telling you, you can tell a good player and not a good player. Okay. This guy benefits a lot. What do you think of Trayvon Diggs? Trayvon Diggs has a lot of interceptions, but again, gets burned on a consistent basis. When you get picked on, the quarterback tries to pick on you and make poor passes, and you take fortuitous interceptions, doesn't mean you're a fantastic defensive back, Rump.
That's not Micah Parsons.
Same thing with an outside linebacker.
That's not Micah Parsons. Here's the thing, just because you don't like the guy or he doesn't fit, he's not your cup of tea. You're in the Chase Young bandwagon, which I'm not, never was. I think he's an average defensive end. I think there's a lot of other defensive ends better than him, way better. He was okay last year at Washington, just okay. 9 sacks, which was good for a rookie, without a doubt. Good for a rookie. This kid's got 14.
Play
And here's the thing.
2 different positions. That's like saying a cornerback has more interceptions than a safety. Why is that? They play 2 different positions, Grump.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That's right. He's not rushing the passer every down. Where Chase Young is rushing the passer every single down. This guy's in coverage. This guy's able to cover running back.
Okay. I want you to also play another scenario. If Chase Young has his finger in the dirt and on every rushing play, he's also engaging offensive linemen, but Micah Parsons is not. Micah Parsons also doesn't extend as much energy on those plays elsewhere.
But there are times when Micah Parsons is in that rush end role.
He bounces around and they utilize him all over the place. He's very versatile. I'm just saying you might want to pump the brakes a tiny bit.
All I said was he's having a great year, probably the best rookie year on defense since Lawrence Taylor. That's all I said.
Okay.
Certainly better than last year's defensive rookie of the year, without a doubt.
Yeah. Mario's saying, so being with the Leafs organization, I feel comfortable because they let me ask questions. They don't try to put me in a box, Hosang said. That starts with Dubas and it stems down all the way through the organization. It's so important just to embrace, especially like anyone, embrace creativity, embrace indifference. There's ways to talk to people that's not just black and white. For me, I don't agree with something, but and again, it cuts off there. But I remember that interview from earlier on in the season, and shined some more light on it after what we saw from Anatoly Golyshev for certain.
Right now, you're an athlete, right? So let's say you have a point of view. At least they should listen to it. They don't have to change. We say, you know what? We appreciate it, blah, blah, blah. As opposed to just saying, this is the way it is. Too bad. Again, this is a guy with a certain skill set. The Islanders refuse to embrace it, just absolutely refuse to embrace it, and they wind up losing a talented player for nothing. They murdered his value around the league, and he left as a free agent. If you didn't like him, you should have let him show his stuff, build up some positive vibes about him, and trade him. That's what you should have done. They chose not to. And I think they did it out of spite. I really feel that.
Well, again, I look at it like this, man. It was a botched situation from the beginning, and we're never going to be able to change anything that happened with that. We still do it now with young guys, and we're never going to change that approach. Under this regime, that's never changing.
Well, then maybe you need to tweak the regime a little bit.
I don't disagree, but they never will.
Well, but as ownership, if you continue to see ex-players speak out against, I just think it begs the question. You have to go talk to the GM or whoever, the coach, GM, both. Hey guys, we need to be a little bit more receptive to the ideas of the players. This isn't 1980 anymore, 1970. These guys can leave. And if they talk shit about us, no one's going to want to come here. Then you have to overpay for players. Or if the money is close, they're going to go somewhere else because they don't want to deal with that type of bullshit. And I understand that. Players' careers are short. I understand that. I just think that the Islanders need to tweak their philosophy a little bit, just a little bit, to fit in with the modern athlete.
We both agree on that. They won't, though. Okay. And that's the part that is just it's frustrating. Because we know that they need to do. I think most fans can agree on it, but they will never do that.
Okay.
Do you think anytime soon, Lou Lamoriello and Barry Trotz are changing that up?
If the ownership says to them, guys, listen to me. We're getting players are speaking out against the way we run the organization from top to bottom. That's a problem. We're trying to create a winner here. We want to be Stanley Cup champions. We can't be alienating players. It's a mistake. Stop doing it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just to talk to them.
Here's the thing. They don't do that. You keep saying that shit. But listen, How many times do we have to hear from Ledecky and Malkin that they let Lou general manage, and Barry coach? They literally are as laissez-faire, completely hands-off as humanly possible. And in this situation, it's not good. I really don't think they care too much about all the chatter. They care about what's at bottom line, what are the dollars and cents in our pocket, and are we making the playoffs? I think anything else, I
Well, it
think
looks like you're playing.
it's something that it could get passed on where it's not a huge deal for them.
But then you're playing in a brand new stadium that looks like it's 60% full. I mean,
That is an issue.
I mean, you know what? But here's the thing.
That's because we're not winning games.
That's right. And you want to know why you're not winning games, perhaps? Because you alienate good players who don't want to come here. That's a possibility. I just think there's nothing wrong with having a conversation. You're just saying that, well, they haven't done that. They're never going to do that. That's just, you need to get out of your little box a little bit.
For you to say the reason why they went on a 12-game losing streak this year is because they possibly alienated players, even though, hold on, you said that's a possibility. I'm just saying that you're to espouse that this is a possibility is the most poppycock, weak-ass excuse I've ever heard to try to supplant a point, Grump. I just don't get it. I really don't. I'm sorry, man. Think about it. We had no cap space. We had no chance to bring anybody in of worth a damn in free agency. Maybe we could trade for a guy, but the guys that we need to trade for are top-end talents. Bringing in another guy who's a tweener that could maybe be a bottom six guy doesn't move the needle for us. So those type of players that talk about it, I think it doesn't really. It's a moot point. The issue is we're old. We have not addressed the age on the team. We do not have enough offensive firepower. And we have a lot of old defensemen. We have 2 old defensemen that are just complete sore thumbs in our lineup that is making it really, really tough to play the Barry style system of hockey. We're not doing it, so we're losing games. I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I'm just saying you need to flip the switch a little bit because no free agent from another organization ever signs here. They just don't. Unless they're guys at the tail end, totally finished. No high-end free agent ever signed here. Not once. Andrew Ladd was not a high-end free agent. He was a total reactionary move to losing Okposo and Nielsen. So they threw ridiculous money at him. That's the only reason he signed here. No one even looks at the Islanders. They don't. And maybe, just maybe, they hear around the league the way that the organization runs things, and they just say, you know what? All things being the same, I'd rather play for Tampa for $1 million a year, Corey Perry, as opposed to going to the Islanders. Maybe. That's all I'm saying.
Are you trying to say we need a guy like Corey Perry? The answer to that question should be no.
I'm just saying we can't get it. We cannot get a high-end free agent to sign with the Islanders. That's fact.
Okay.
That's fact.
Think about this. Since Lou and Barry have been there, we've only gone after one high-name free agent. Only one of them.
We tried to sign our own guy back.
We tried to keep him. He was gone. He was gone since the beginning. So, I mean.
Maybe he didn't like the way the organization was run.
No.
Maybe he didn't like that.
The wife had taken a job before they'd even fired Garth Snow. What are you talking about?
Maybe he didn't like the way the organization was run.
Okay, it's a totally different regime. You're talking about regime issues, but it was a totally different regime than the one that we currently have.
Players around the league talk. They know what
Lou's all about. But why are they talking about somebody who's no longer man, oh man, I heard that Jack Capuano is such a miserable head coach. I'm never going to the Islanders because he used to coach for the Islanders 5 some odd years ago. You think that's what they're talking about? You think that's what they're talking about?
Maybe it's this. You want to sign back with the Islanders? Man, that Lou's a real hard ass. And Barry Trotz is going to kill your career productivity-wise. You don't think anyone would ever say that to him?
I don't disagree with that portion.
There you go.
Now, hold on. You're talking about why we're unable to sign big-name free agents. I just said there's one big-name free agent we went after, and we went 0 for 1. So did a lot of teams that went after Panarin.
Well, we couldn't even re-sign Tavares.
Okay, different, Grump. It's different.
Okay, you say it's different. I think it could very possibly be tied together. I'm just saying when you have a head coach, an offensive player, I'm going to tell you, a really good offensive player is never coming here as long as Barry Trotz is coach. And Lou's a hard ass. With the have to be shaved all the time and all that stuff. His thing, I don't have a problem with it, but maybe there are players, particularly young players, that have a problem with that. And they're like, I'm not going to deal with that shit. I'm going to go somewhere else where I can be myself. Josh Hosang.
Gotcha.
Golichev. Ladd.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is a possibility. That's all I'm saying.
All right, said Tavares doesn't like Trotz's system ever before. Wilson ran Wisnowski in the playoffs. If you remember comments he made about the Capitals in Trotz. Well, here's the thing. He was gone before they even announced that Trotz was here. He was gone before we announced that Lou was coming. I mean, he remember his wife had taken the job, or his fiance at the time had taken the job in Detroit in December of that year. He was gone. So
Yeah. But before he signed that contract, Trotz was there. So he was the head coach before he signed that contract. He was. And
okay,
maybe that was the
and
final.
they had already
straw.
made up their mind before Trotz was there, and he said,
Okay.
"No, hey, honey, you can go ahead and accept that nursing job in Toronto because we're going to be moving there. That's what we're going to sign as a free agent."
FYI, his wife doesn't need to work.
Okay,
He could say,
FYI,
honey,
his
you're
wife
not,
does.
honey, you can stay at home. You don't need to be an RN in Toronto. I make $11 million a year. You know what? We don't need your money.
Okay, well, maybe she wants to work. So maybe it's a passion of love. She wants to do it. So I don't know, Grumpy.
Okay.
I'm just
I'm
saying
just
the
saying.
the job was accepted in December of that year before anything like that happened. So I tell you, okay.
I just feel that I think that no one comes here, and no one's ever come here. We were a loser before. That's the reason why people weren't coming. But no one sounds here now because we put so much faith into the guys already here, our clique, our sacred cows, that maybe other people just say, you know what? I don't even have a spot on that team unless they move somebody out. That's a possibility.
Okay. And Tony G is saying, I can't help but feel dread when I think about the next decade. The whole Golashev thing is icing on top of the cake, made out of no picks and the AARP memberships. Yeah, I tell you, you've got certain pieces. They're not both Barry and Lou, I don't think are going to be here long term. You don't make the playoffs this year. I think they've got one more year left, unless they're able to really get a significant rebound. Because if you don't make the playoffs this year, our team doesn't have a lot of pieces to say, hey, these are guys that are on the better side of their career. That's with Dobson. Maybe that's with Wallstrom. I mean, Bevilier certainly can't play worse than he's playing now. I mean, pretty much Barzal is what Barzal is at this point. I don't expect Barzal to be taking any big steps and leaps forward. And Sorokin is what Sorokin is, right? At the age of 26 years old, you're not going to be getting better as a goalie.
If Barzal played for another team, you'd say his game take another jump. I think it almost feels like he's defeated playing for this team right now. That's all I'm saying.
I don't disagree. But hey, Grumpy, we're here at the end of today's podcast. Let me ask you.
I had one more thing I wanted to bring up.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Grump. We started talking about the Islanders for 15, 20 minutes, so I wasn't sure if you had any other topics or you just wanted to talk Islanders. So go ahead, Grump. What other topics you have?
I did. Well, actually, it was because someone made the comment about Hosang is why we started talking about the Islanders. Do you think that LeBron James' time as the best player in the NBA is over?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, he's towards the tail end. What is he, like 37, 38 years old?
I think he's 36.
36?
I think he's 36.
Okay. I mean, the team, LeBron, I'm telling you, man, he's an outstanding athlete, fantastic player. You know, you may agree with what he says on or off the court, doesn't really matter. He's a fantastic basketball player, but he's definitely on the tail end. He's not getting better at the age of 36, 37 years old.
I mean, but, he still acknowledged even last year, best player in the league. I just think quite a few guys have passed him by now.
He hasn't won an MVP trophy in how many years now?
I don't know, but they won a championship 2 years ago because of him. So, I mean, that's when the Lakers won a championship, right?
Well, that was during the COVID time period, right? That was during the COVID season?
I think so. It doesn't matter. They still won. What I'm saying is, and I just think his time is I don't think he's even close to being the best player in the league anymore. Not even close.
I don't think so either. I think he's towards the tail end of his career, man. I mean, it happens to everybody. Yeah, he's 37 years old now. He's just towards the tail end. There's nothing wrong with that. He used to be. I thought that even when they were giving out MVP trophies, you look at like the what was it, like 2017, 2018 seasons and around that time frame, I still thought he should still be in contention for the best player, but he would never win just because I honestly think once he had rattled off a few of those MVPs in a row, they're like, we don't want him to win too many more MVP trophies. It looks like we're just giving the award to him every year.
Yeah. And I do think that was the case back then. I just think his game is noticeably, he's been injured quite often. Once again, you get into your 30s, you get injured more often. And I just think there's other guys who've easily passed him by. I just wanted to pose that question because I know quite a few people still think that, in a big game, they'd want LeBron out there. I just don't think that's the case anymore.
In a one game scenario, sure, I'd like LeBron on the team, but he's not a guy. I mean, you look at him, he doesn't have the clutch gene, I don't think. Right. That's the only way I think you could knock him between him and MJ, right? And he doesn't have the clutch gene. Other than that, I mean, he's fantastic. Right. Giannis had won 2 years, and then you've had a few with the Steph Curry and then the Russell Westbrooks and James Harden. And I mean, the last time LeBron James won an MVP trophy was in the 2012-2013 season with Miami.
Luka Doncic is mighty good too.
Yeah. So no, he's not the best player, in the NBA anymore. I wasn't sure who's saying that he's still the best player.
People were just asking, is
No.
his time as the best player over now?
Yeah, I think it is. And I know that it's funny, right? People are now pointing fingers at Anthony Davis because he's been struggling apparently for the Lakers. And you think of it like that, right? He was supposed to be the last piece. Oh, now they've got a superstar squad. They've got a superstar studded team. They can't stop the Lakers. And he's just towards the tail end of his career. There's no nice way to put it. I mean, think about how much longer realistically you think LeBron could play at the level? Maybe 2-3 more years.
Yeah, that's what I think. I don't know when his contract expires, but probably at the end of this contract might be it. I think eventually he wants to own a team. That's what I think eventually he wants to do.
You think he wants to be a solo owner or team up with somebody?
I think he wants to be like Michael Jordan is in Charlotte. Even if that's bringing on, other investors, but he runs the team. I think that's what he wants.
That's interesting. I hope Michael hasn't been too successful. I mean, besides the LaMelo Ball pick, who's been fantastic, he's not been all that successful. But Grump, I'll tell you, that's interesting to think about. But you have any other points today, Grumpy Old Man?
Nope, that's it for today.
Well, thank you, Grumpy Old Man. I know there's always something you like to say at the end of every podcast.
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens, and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Well, thank you, Grumpy Old Man, for being a part of the podcast as always. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Again, we'll be live this upcoming Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as we have multiple college football games on the horizon, a lot of top 25 matchups, week in, week out, day in, day out, we'll be going live during a few of those. And we'll be coming up with our schedule here in the upcoming future. Make sure you don't miss out on any action. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, and follow on Twitter. But thanks so much for the time this evening, guys. And thank you, Grumpy Old Man.
My pleasure.